For as long as I could remember, I was a yes person. Can you take on this extra project? Yes. Can you cover my shift? Yes. Can you do me a favor? Yes. I thought saying yes made me kind, helpful, and easy to be around. But as time went on, I realized it made me feel exhausted, undervalued, and invisible. The turning point came one Friday evening. I had planned a quiet night to relax after a grueling week at work. But just as I was settling in, my phone buzzed. It was my colleague, Mike. "Hey, can you help me finish the client report tonight? I'm running behind," he said, his voice casual, as if he already knew I'd agree. I glanced at my laptop, where my own unfinished work awaited. My stomach sank, but the words came automatically. "Sure, no problem." That night, I worked until midnight, completing both Mike's task and mine. When I finally closed my laptop, I felt nothing but resentment. Not at Mike, at myself. Why did I always do this? The next morning, I stood in front of the mirror, looking at the tired, frustrated person staring back at me. That's when I decided, no more. The first test came the following week. My boss called me into his office. "I know you've got a full plate, but can you take on this additional project? It's important." Normally, I would have nodded and smiled, but this time, I took a deep breath. "I'm sorry, but I can't. I'm already at capacity, and I want to ensure the quality of my current work." He raised an eyebrow, clearly surprised, but then nodded. "Fair enough," he said. Walking out of his office, I felt a strange mix of fear and exhilaration. I had said no, and the world hadn't ended. Over the next few weeks, I started setting boundaries in other areas of my life. When friends asked for favors that I couldn't manage, I politely declined. When family members made unreasonable demands on my time, I explained my limits. It wasn't easy. At first, people were surprised, even upset. "You've changed," one friend said accusingly. But I had changed, and for the better. As I started saying no to things that drained me, I found space for things that mattered. I picked up painting, a hobby I had abandoned years ago. I had time for meaningful conversations with loved ones, instead of rushing through them. I even started a small blog about setting boundaries, sharing my journey with others. The most surprising change was at work. My colleagues, who once relied on me to handle their overflow, began taking responsibility for their tasks. My boss respected my limits and even commended me for managing my workload effectively. Saying no didn't make me selfish or unkind. It made me authentic. It allowed me to show up fully for the things and people that truly mattered. Now, when I look in the mirror, I see someone who values herself and her time. Someone who isn't afraid to say no. And in saying no to others, I've learned to say yes to myself. Saying no isn't selfish, it's an act of self-respect. Setting boundaries allows you to protect your time, energy, and well-being, making space for what truly matters in life.